Hello everyone, Catweazle here, welcome to the channel and welcome back to our new playthrough, which is Descent, Journeys in the Dark, 2nd edition, where we'll be playing the print-on-demand cooperative module of Forgotten Souls. So there we go. So let's have a read of the flavour text. So, Forgotten Souls. The small village of Summer's Glade sits quietly in the shadow of a massive castle. You come upon the village in the hopes of replenishing your bodies and minds. Many dangerous encounters have left you tired and worn, but your resilience is unbroken. To your surprise, the town is devastated. Rooftops and walkways are covered in black ash. There is not an inhabitant in sight. Whatever flame consumed this town, it has taken all that lives. Soon a shadow is cast upon you, and in front of the setting sun a young boy emerges. He slowly comes up to you, a glimmer of hope on his defeated face. You came too late. The boy is weak and feeble. The dragon lives. I will show you. He slowly stumbles towards the castle entrance on the horizon. You follow. Once inside the stone walls, the entrance seals behind you and the boy vanishes into the air, a grim smile spread across his face. There is no way out. Your only choice is to delve deeper into the dungeon's depths. Dun dun dun. Well, the little get. He's bloody locked us in. So, the little swine. Okie dokie. So that is the start of this cooperative print-on-demand module. Now, this is obviously slightly different to normal Descent, which has an Overlord and it has player characters in it. This dispenses with the Overlord, which is why I'm playing it, because I play solo, because none of my mates play board games. So, so I'm just going to be playing it solo. So this is more of an analogue version of playing the game. So we will be using cards, which will stand in the place of the Overlord. At a later date I will play Road to Legend, which is an app-driven Overlord. And then there is another card-driven Overlord variant by a chap called Red Jack on Board Game Geek. And he's got a couple of versions. He's got an automated Overlord variant. He's got an automated monster variant. We'll play the automated monster variant because it's a little bit easier. But, as it stands at the moment, we are playing the print-on-demand version, Forgotten Souls. There are a couple of others. There is Nature's Ire, and the third print-on-demand is called Dark Elements. So I'm playing this one because I know this one you can play it with just the base set. I've only got the base set, Labyrinth of Ruin and Shadows of Nerek Hall. So I just want to make sure that I've got all the stuff. So I've gone for Forgotten Souls, which you can play with just the base set. Now, I won't be going through any rules per se. So I might mention them during the gameplay, but I'm not going to go through them. If you need the rules for Descent, then I strongly advise that you watch Rodney Smith on Watch It Played. He did, I think it's about 8 videos on how to play Descent 2nd edition, and they're absolutely excellent. So if you want to know the rules, step by step, go and watch It Played and his Descent playthrough. It really is fantastic. As regards the extra rules for print-on-demand, there are a couple of other videos out there which are also really good. So you've got Solo McLaughlin, who's done a Forgotten Souls playthrough. Also got Tina the Board Gamer, who's done a Forgotten Souls playthrough. And there is a Nature's Ire playthrough by Anthony of Antlab Games. All those are fabulous. Please go and take a look at them. Now, having completely abdicated responsibility for teaching you the rules, ho ho ho, we'll just get on with it. As I say, I will mention rules as I go through, but I'm not going to do a sort of tutorial about it. What we'll quickly do though is we will mention a few of the things in Forgotten Souls that are a bit different from the normal game. First of all, we have a sort of track, which we've got here. There's an Overlord track, and there's a loot track. The Overlord track, we're going to be playing with 3 players. So we have Doom at the 3-player icon, and we have Fate at the top. Now, game effects will make these move. We do not want them to meet up, because if they meet up on the same space, it's game over, man, and we have lost. There are ways to move them back and forward, but we've just got to make sure that these don't meet. Otherwise, the game is over. The loot track, this first loot track, the one where we start putting the wound tokens on, this depends on monsters that you kill. So if you kill one of these guys, a Barghest, as you can see, it's got a 2 sort of square base. We killed that, we would move up 2. If we killed a single square base monster, like this zombie, then we would only move up 1. We do not start on the track because we haven't killed anything yet, so I've just got it off to one side. The other track that's next to it is the loot track. Now this goes up when we kill these red monsters, and these red monsters are master monsters, so they're slightly harder than the cream coloured monsters, which are minions. As you kill those, you move this up. You start on 1 card, you will always get at least 1 card. And what happens is, as you kill monsters and this moves up, once you get to the 3-player icon, because we're playing with 3 characters, once it hits that, then you'll draw however many cards are on this side of the track. You draw that amount of cards, you select 1, the rest get put on the bottom of the pile. Then this goes right back to 0 and you start all over again. You just reset everything for the loot track. So that is the Fate and loot track. Well, Overlord track and loot track. We also have some monster cards, monster activation cards. Again, usual FFG, really nice. And we've got 4 sets of monsters in this particular game. We've got flesh moulders, shadow dragons, zombies and Barghests. So what you'll do is they all have, each card will have these on, but as you can see they're all slightly different. Now you activate the monsters on the board in the order they're on here. So that flesh moulders first, then shadow dragons, then zombies, then Barghests. Coolness. You see where we've got the red and we've got the yellow. Red means the masters and the yellow means the minion monsters. You will go down these various instructions and you will activate the monsters in that order. So they will try, here for the flesh moulders, they'll try and spot the furthest hero. If they can't do that, they move on to the next one. Yeah, and they will cycle round until they do 2 actions. If, once you've cycled round, they can only do 1 action or no actions, then they don't do anything. And you move on to the next one, which in this case would be the minion version. And you would go through this list. And that is how these guys are activated. But we'll see that more in the game. It'll be a lot easier to explain when we're actually doing it. But that's the whole idea, is this is the order in which you activate the monsters. And once you're activating a monster group, this is the order, whether you go masters first or minions first, and what exactly they will try and do in order to tackle your players. So we get those, and we just give those a shuffle, so we don't know what order they're going to come out in, and we'll just go through these as we go through the game. If we ever go through the whole deck, then we will just shuffle up the discard pile and make a new deck. So that is the monster activation cards. As well as those, we need to be told exactly what sort of tiles and stuff that we're putting out. So we need encounter cards. To start off, we have this one, which is unsurprisingly called the Onset, and it's got a red star on it. We'll read this when we actually start the game, but this is your sort of starting card. As you can see, it's sort of split into two, and has some text about flavour, has some flavour text, and any special instructions about the actual tile that you've got. And there is also this at the bottom. This has got a bit of flavour text, and it's also, in most cases, got a little bit of a timer on it as well. Yeah, and things that happen if you do not achieve, if you do not get rid of this card in time, you'll get penalties and stuff. So that is what these are. These are encounter cards. So that's the first one. Now we've got to make the encounter deck. So we've got the rest of the cards here, but we've also got special versions which have got numbers. So we've got the Room of Souls, which has got a 1 on it, the Lava Tomb that's got a 2 on it, and the Throne of the Fallen that's got a 3 on it. These special encounters in Act 1, Act 2 and Act 3. So what we've got to do is we've got to take these bog standard cards, give them a quick shuffle, and then, because we've got 3 acts, we'll put them into 3 piles. So 1, 2, 3. Move Mr. Barguest up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. As you can see, this end pile has only got 2 in. That doesn't matter. It's meant to be short. So we get the Room of Souls, and we put it in the first. The Lava Tomb goes on the second, and the Throne of the Fallen goes in the third. Then what we do for each of these is we give them a shuffle. So we don't know where that special card will be, and we also don't know what the normal encounter cards are. So there we go. So that is 1. Do exactly the same with Act 2. And Act 3, as much as you can shuffle with only 3 cards. So I'm doing it with my eyes shut, so I hope I don't drop them. And there we go. And obviously Act 1 goes on Act 2, which goes on top of Act 3. So that is our encounter deck. As mentioned, we've already got the Onset out, so we will read that when we actually start the game. What else we get, and you've actually got to go onto the website for this, is you have to have the rules. Now the rules don't come with the actual little game packet itself. They're on Fantasy Flight Games website. But it's free, you just go and download them. And here they are. I've just got them on my little tablet here. And what you'll do is, for example, here's the Onset. You look at the encounter guide, it will tell you all about it, and it will tell you which tiles to pull and where to put your monsters. So what we'll do here, let's have a look at that. Right in the right hand corner there, you'll see a number 2. Ho ho. Not a real number 2, just a number 2 that designates this search token. So you just put that there where it tells you to put it. And there's a 2 here. Whoop. There's a 2 here as well for the Barguest. As you see, it's got a red. It's got sort of a red outline, so that means we need the Master. So the Master goes there. And we've also got a 3 with a cream outline. So that means, because we're playing 3 players, this chap goes there. Exactly the same for the zombies. So we've got a red outline, and we have got a 3 for a single minion. So minion will go there, and the master will go there. Where all the red X's are, that is where you can place your player characters. So we'll do that now. What I'll do is I'll put them a bit nearer to the bar guests. So we've got the lovely Cindriel. I'll go through the characters in a short while, but that's the lovely Cindriel, our knight. She's going to stand right in front of that master bar guest there. We've got Averick Albright, our cleric. He's going to stand right in front of that minion bar guest. And we've got the Widow Tara. And she is our rune master. She's just going to stand a little bit off here. We'll understand a bit more about where they're stood, where they are, when we actually get into the next episode. But that's where they're up to at the moment. You may have noticed that on the minions I've put sort of like a little bit of sticky paper on them, just like a post-it note. The reason for that is just to distinguish between the minions. You only ever have one master monster, so that's fine. He's bright red. You can always tell him apart. But occasionally what you'll get is you'll get more than one minion monster. And when you start putting like wound tokens down and stuff, it can get a bit confusing as to who received what wounds and where. So I've just put these on, so I will be able to tell them apart. It just makes it easier to put conditions or wounds or whatever on them. So you will see a couple of the minion monsters that have got like little squares of coloured paper on them. As I say, that's just to tell them apart. And hopefully that'll help you guys back at home to be able to distinguish everything. Right, so that is the setup of the tile. We've got a few extra things. We have got a door. The corner here. Again, I've put a yellow stand on it so it's a bit easier to spot. So that's over here. And what you've got to do is you have to complete the encounter in a room before you can open the door. Also on these print on demand ones, you can't close the door after you. Once you've opened it, you've sort of busted it open and it cannot be re-shut. Each of our monster groups has a monster card. So where this bit of green is here, obviously these are the minions. So they've got speed, they've got health, and they've got their defense. They've also got some special abilities such as shambling. They can cause disease, and they can also cause extra damage if they get surges. But again, I'll explain that during the game. These little cubes here, like the blue and the yellow, those are their attack dice. Again, I'll explain that. Down here, this little symbol here, the little axe in the red background, that is a melee symbol. It just tells you that zombies are melee monsters. This one here means we have got the sort of Act 1 zombies. Very important. Do not start the game with the Act 2 versions of the monsters, because you'll get beat. It's just a way to ramp up the difficulty. So Act 1 are the initial start off monsters. Act 2 monsters are obviously a bit tougher, so you don't want to pull out the Act 2 monster cards. Below, in the red, see it's got a slight red cast to it, these are the details for the master zombie. So again, that's shambles as well, but it can also grab, can also cause disease, and it also, on a surge, can do extra damage. But as I say, as we play the game, we'll see that come into play. His movement is also 3, but as you can see, he's slightly stronger. He's got 6 health. he also uses a brown defense die. And if you go onto the back, it just does explanations of things like shambling, grab and disease. There you go. Oh, these at the bottom, these symbols here, it's just the group sort of limits for the monsters when you are playing the game against them. So we're playing 3 player characters, so that means 3 minions and 1 master. If we were playing 4, it'd be 4 minions and 1 master. If we're playing 2 player, it'd be 2 minions and 1 master. So that is normally used in normal descent. In the print on demands, it generally tells you how many of each are going to turn up. So, but those are the group limits. Up here, again, just telling you again that it's an Act 1 monster. And the monsters have various symbols in the corner. Again, certain quests in normal descent will say you can have any monster that has a skull symbol, you can have any monster that's got this sort of dungeon door symbol. It's just so you pick the correct monsters for a particular quest. So that's all that they mean. As I say, just a bit of like post-it paper here. So what I generally do is I'd start putting the wounds on here, and I'd know it was on the green monster. If you start putting them on the actual tiles themselves, they get knocked, they go all over the place and you can't remember who's what where. So that's just what I'm doing there, if anybody's wondering what the hell all that's about. Similar with the bar guests, minions at the top, masters at the bottom. Speed, health, defense die. They've got a special, which is Howl, and they've got surge abilities. They roll a blue and a red attack die. Again, we've got the level 1s, and these are melee monsters as well. So there we go. And their special abilities are on the back. Fabulous. So that is that. So that is the first room. So after that kid run off and locked us in, this is what we've come up. This is what we've come up against straight away. We've got a master bar guest and a minion bar guest, a master zombie and a minion zombie. Right, so that is the setup of the rooms. Let's have a look at our player characters, shall we? And here's our first character, who is Cindriel, who is an elven knight. So she's a warrior, because you can see by this red symbol here, and she's got a movement of 4, she's got a health of 12, she's got a stamina of 4, and she rolls a grey defense die. She's also got other attributes, which are down here. So her willpower, which is on the left hand side here, is 2, her might is 4, her knowledge is 3, and her awareness is 2. Like a lot of these games, you'll be rolling tests against these. So you will be asked on encounters and stuff, or when fighting monsters, to make various tests and use these attributes to do that. So that is her, and doesn't she look lovely? Now, she's got a hero ability at the top there. If you have not moved during this turn, you recover 2 fatigue at the end of your turn, and fatigue relates to stamina here. So you cannot spend fatigue over your stamina score. So say she spent a few fatigue, she does get 2 back at the end of her turn, as long as she hasn't moved. And once per game, she has a heroic feat. When you play the print on demand games, this is only once per game. Use during your turn to choose a hero within 3 spaces of you. You and that hero may each immediately perform a move action. This is in addition to the 2 actions each hero receives on his turn. So essentially you can get extra movement, but you might want to keep hold of that. So don't want to spend that too soon. Obviously might have to spend it, you know, if it stops us dying, but these heroic feats, we're only going to be able to use them once, so we just want to keep an eye out about when is best to use them. The cards are double-sided, and as you can see, it's exactly the same, except you just turn it over when you use that heroic feat. Yep, just to remind you that you've used the feat, and you just get a bit of flavour text. What does it say there? You swear undying loyalty, yet you are mortal. What can you know of commitment? Cindriel, typical cheery elf, obviously. So that's her. Now, she gets some starting equipment. The first of which is here. She gets an iron longsword. As you can see, there is the melee symbol. It's a blade. And if we roll a surge, you'll see that when we roll the attack dice, you may force the target to re-roll one defense die. So if they get a good defense roll and you've got a surge, you can force them to re-roll it, and hopefully they won't roll as much defense. The cubes, the blue and the red cube there, those are the actual attack die for the iron longsword. So she starts off with that. An important thing to remember is this is a knight card, so it is a starting piece of equipment. You cannot swap these, so you cannot give this to another player character. It is hers and hers alone. Similarly, we've got a wooden shield, and this also is starting equipment for the knight. So we've got shield, and exhaust this card after rolling defense dice to add one extra shield to the results. So shields offset wounds. The more shields you have, the more wounds that you can offset. And I mean shields as in these here. But the shield itself, obviously, it gives you an extra shield. But that's what they do. The more shields that you roll or get through items, like the wooden shield, offset more damage. So she's got that as well. As you can see, it's got one hand, and the iron longsword has got one hand. So she can equip both at the same time, because she has two hands. You also get an additional starting ability, and the one we've got is Oath of Honour for a knight. So as an action, that's what that little arrow means. Choose another hero within 3 spaces of you who has a monster adjacent to him. Place your hero figure in the closest empty space adjacent to the monster and perform an attack with a melee weapon against that monster. So anybody within 3 spaces getting hassled by a monster, you can use one of your actions to just zoom across there. Yep. So you're essentially like, you can just move without spending an action on the actual movement. You're getting a sort of move and attack in one action, but that will cost you 1 fatigue. As I mentioned, the fatigue will count against your stamina score. So that is her starting ability. You do have other abilities. So here's the knight deck, and some have numbers up here. So you need 1 experience point to advance. So you get a few options, and then it's 2 experience points if you want to guard or have defense training, up to 3. So it allows a bit of character progression. Now each player character at the start of the game already has a single experience point. So we could spend Cindriel's experience point on advance or defend or challenge. But we're not going to. We're just going to keep hold of that experience point, because you can hold them back. So we could get 2, 3 experience points as we explore the dungeon. So let's just go on the basic starting ability at the moment, and we'll keep that experience point in reserve. Okay, so that is Cindriel. Next up, Avric Albright. And here we are with Avric. So he's got a symbol there for a cleric, a disciple, and he's got 4 movement as well. He's also got 12 health. he's got 4 stamina, and he rolls a grey defense die. Additionally, what he can do is he has a willpower of 4, a might of 2, a knowledge of 3, and an awareness of 2. His hero ability: each hero within 3 spaces of you, including yourself, gains on a surge, can recover 1 health on all attack rolls. So anybody who's within 3 spaces, rolls their attack dice, gets a surge, they have the option to recover 1 health. His heroic feat that he can only use once per game: as an action, he can roll 2 red power dice. Each hero within 3 spaces of you, including yourself, may recover health equal to the health rolled. So again, if we're getting near the end of the game, we've got a few wounds on everybody, we can all bunch up and he can use his heroic feat and we can get some health back. On the back, as mentioned, it's exactly the same, but it tells us that we've used our heroic feat. But let's have a read of that flavour text. I pledge myself to those in need. I will be their shield, their light in the darkness. Good man. What a nice fella. So that's Avric. His starting equipment is he has an iron mace, which is a hammer, again melee, and on a surge it will give stun, and he rolls the attack dice, the blue and the yellow attack dice. Again, it's one-handed, and it is a disciple starting. It's disciple starting equipment. He cannot swap it with anybody. He also gets a shield as part of his starting equipment, and exactly the same as Cinreal's. Exhaust the card and it will give you an extra shield. Again, one-handed. Coolness. His starting ability is Prayer of Healing. Exhaust this card during your turn to choose yourself or an adjacent hero. Roll 1 red power die. The chosen hero recovers health equal to the health rolled. And again, that will cost him 1 fatigue to do so. Now, I have spent Avric's experience point. So he has no experience points left, and he has used it to learn Cleansing Touch. Each time you use Prayer of Healing on a hero, that hero may also discard 1 of their condition cards. Why have I picked Cleansing Touch? Well, one of the monster groups, as you've just seen, are zombies. And on surges, they are able to disease us. Disease is a condition. So, they spend a surge and they actually wound us, we become diseased. Diseased is a horrible condition, which we'll probably get quite a lot of because we're fighting zombies. Therefore, I have spent his experience point on getting Cleansing Touch. It will just make it a lot easier to get rid of that condition. So, he has actually spent his experience point. Next up is the Widow Tara. And here's the Widow Tara. Now, she's a mage, so she's got this yellowy symbol. And she's got a movement of 4. She's got a health of 10, so she's not quite as strong as the other 2. She's got a stamina of 4, and she also rolls a grey defense die. Her willpower is 3, her might is 2, her knowledge is 4, and her awareness is 2. Her hero ability: once per round, after you roll dice for an attack, you may re-roll 1 attack or power die. You must keep the new result. That's brilliant. Re-rolls, brilliant, we love them. Her heroic feat: as an action, perform an attack. This attack affects 2 different monsters in your line of sight. Oh, line of sight, laugh in this game, but we'll talk about that while we're playing. 1 attack roll is made, but each monster rolls defense dice separately. Both monsters are considered targets of your attack. So she's basically got a ranged ability, and she can affect more than 1 target at a time if she uses her heroic feat. Again, We will only get to use that once per game in these print in demand scenarios. Normal scenarios, you do get an opportunity to refresh your heroic feats, but unfortunately in the print and demand court scenarios you don't. You've got to go through the whole game and only use it once. Right, so let's have a look on the other side. Have a look at her flavour text. I have nothing left to lose, yet there is so much more power for me to gain. So there you go. So that's the Widow Tara. And her starting weapon is a magic rune, and it's Arcane Bolt. As you can see, this has got a green sort of bow and arrow. That means it's a ranged ability. And on a surge, you can either have +1 range or Pierce 2. What Pierce means is you can ignore those shield symbols. It's two-handed, so she won't have a shield because she wouldn't be able to hold it. Her attack die is a blue and a yellow. So that's Arcane Bolt. And she also has, as her starting ability, Runic Knowledge. So it's a Rune Master. While you have a magic or rune weapon equipped, Arcane Bolt, each of your attacks gains, on a surge, suffer 1 fatigue to give +2 damage. So that's pretty strong. So she has Runic Knowledge. She has not spent her experience point, so her and Cindriel still have an experience point over. It's only Avric who has spent his experience point to get Cleansing Touch. Right, so that is all our player characters. Let's get back to the actual entrance tile. Hello everyone, and here we are back at the start tile. Okay, there was a bit that I haven't explained. There's various things like search tokens, condition cards, also the equipment that you can pick up, all that sort of stuff, combat, line of sight, all this laugh and chuckle stuff. We'll explain that as we go along. So here we are, all set up for the onset of Forgotten Souls, but that won't be till next time. So thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for all the subscriptions, for all the views, for all the comments, for all the helpful hints and tips, and for all the support. Thanks also goes to all of you who've been across to Board Game Links to upvote the site, so thank you very much indeed. So I hope you will join me for turn 1, where we start the onset of Forgotten Souls. But until then, this is me, Catweazle, signing off. Toodaloo.